those of you who watch all my videos, and I'm impressed with you if you do, and thank you, I appreciate it, you'll know that occasionally on some of the various series I will take time to go off on a discussion of various aspects of cinema, be it character development, or writing, or lighting, or whatever. And I love doing that. I love talking about movies. This is not a shock. But there are certain aspects of film that I never really get a chance to address. So I've decided to just do this. This is not part of a series, it's just a video log. I'm just chatting. And I may do these again on occasion when I feel like it. No schedule, it's just me and you. I want to talk about how I break down films. In my opinion, there are three categories of films. Good films, bad films, and then the fun one, entertaining films. Now, all of these are obviously subjective to a certain degree, because you can always get into an argument over the relative merits of an individual film. I'm not here to put the definitive stamp on anything. I'm not here to tell you that the movies you like are wrong, or whatever. There's nothing wrong with liking films in any of the three categories. I just find it easier to use these categories when I'm talking to other people. Good films is subjective, but I think less so than the other ones, because I think we can all agree on a good film. A good film are the ones that have artistic merit. They're not just fun to watch, they contribute something by existing. I know a lot of people don't like Citizen Kane, for example. And as a film student, I'm supposed to tell you it's the greatest film ever made. I'm not going to say that. I like it. I don't sit around and watch it for kicks, but I like it. Citizen Kane does have a unique history to it. The story behind the making of it is pretty interesting, and the movie itself is quite well made. It's a good movie. And I think even people who don't like the film itself can admit, yeah, it's a good movie, not my cup of tea. Casablanca, much the same way. It's a good movie. You might not like it, but it's a good movie. Singing in the Rain. These are classics. They've contributed to the fabric of cinema. Bad movies. Also, slightly less objective than the third category. These are films with no redeeming aspects. I'm trying to think of a really good example of just a bad film. See, the best example I can think of is one that people will disagree with me on, and it's Meet the Feebles. I find nothing redeeming in that film whatsoever. It's horrific, it's horrible, it's disgusting, and it's not entertaining. It just makes you cringe time and time again. Some of the American Pie movies are a bit like that, although people will say that they're funny. So, once again, that's subjective, but, you know, a bad movie is one without artistic merit. It's one... comedies that don't work. That's bad. When your purpose is to entertain, and there's nothing funny about your film, and I'm not talking about the ones that are so bad they're funny. I just mean the ones that just flat out fail. The ones that you come out of it and go, was I supposed to laugh? Because I don't know. That's a bad movie. Dramas where you don't care about the movies. I will go out on a limb and say The Village, the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong one that came out a couple of years ago. I thought that was a bad movie. The movie very clearly was trying to keep me on the edge of my seat. Oh God, what's going to happen next? I'm so curious. But it didn't pace it well, and it didn't keep me there. It tried to keep me there throughout the entire 90 minutes, and it doesn't work, because the edge of your seat is uncomfortable. And after a little while, when you realize there's not going to be a payoff just yet, you slide back. So the movie failed to do what it tried to do. And I would argue that makes it a bad film. Now, the third category is by far the most subjective. But it's also one of my favorites. And that is entertaining films. Now, the example I usually use for this is, I used to have the poster up. And I have to get it out of storage, and I have to put it up in my new apartment. I don't know where. Tank Girl. Tank Girl is not a good movie. At all. It's not. In fact, I have some friends who will punch me in the face if I try to make them watch it again. I find it entertaining. It amuses me. It's cute. You can tell that the people who are making it had some energy to them. It's an entertaining film. I put most of the Hollywood blockbusters in this category. Iron Man is an entertaining film. I enjoy watching it. But I don't think anybody can realistically argue that it had a deep impact on the history of cinema, that it had artistic merits, that it enriched the world with its presence. No, it was fun to watch. And that's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. As a film student, I'm supposed to say there's something wrong with that. I used to be mocked for not saying there's something wrong with that. Sometimes people just want to be entertained. I like entertaining films, and entertaining films is a very broad category. My enjoyment of trauma movies, which many of you would place in bad films, and rightly so. But in my opinion, a lot of trauma films are entertaining films. The Toxic Avenger series, The Class of Nukem High, the name alone. Tromeo and Juliet. Tromeo and Juliet almost becomes a good film at certain points. At least when compared to other trauma films. I think of all the trauma films, it's the closest to being a good film. It's still miles off, but they try. So, I love good films. I love entertaining films. And on occasion, I will sit down and watch bad films. Partially so I can bring you more WTF cinema. Although not everything I do in that show is a bad film. A lot of them are entertaining. I've done I've done movies that I like for that show. And will in the future. Just to be fair. So that was really my point. The three categories of film. That's just how I see it. That's how I break it down. That's how I explain it to people. So if you sat through all that, I'm sorry there's not a bigger payoff at the end. But thank you for spending time with me. And once again, thank you for making it feel like my opinion actually matters. I'll see you next time.